Parshat Yitro. The limud should be Lerefuat Tanya Bat Hoda Margalit Yosef Yair ben Aviva Chava Harav Sivan ben Sima Betoch Kol Shar Cholei Yisrael Ulenechamat Kol HaMishpachot. When we enter into Parshat Yitro, we get to maybe the most important moment in Jewish history, Ma'amad Har Sinai, and if not the most important moment, one of the top 5 most important moments throughout the Jewish history. But on the journey towards Har Sinai, we leave Egypt, and it's 49 days between that leaving of Egypt and standing under Har Sinai. And in that journey, it might be more significant to learn the process that took us towards Har Sinai in order to understand the lasting effect of that moment for Jewish history. In the 42 days between Kriyat Yamsuf and standing under Har Sinai, we really only have 2 significant stories in the Torah. The first significant story that happened in that journey is the war against the nation of Amalek. And the other significant story is the story of Yitro and his conversation with his son-in-law Moshe. What's interesting about both of those experiences is that both of them are dealing with people from the outside. Amalek is not part of the Jewish people. Yitro, for different opinions, maybe he converted, maybe he didn't convert, but he's coming from the outside. And we meet 2 different outside approaches in the relationship with the Jewish people. And looking at those 2 relationships, Amalek and the Jewish people, Yitro and the Jewish people, the question rises, what was the real need for these experiences? The war against Amalek before Har Sinai, Yitro speaking to Moshe before Har Sinai, and can there be maybe an essential difference between these 2 stories that come right after each other, the story of Amalek and the story of Yitro? So says the Sefat Emet in 1875, Hakdamat Yitro Kodem Kabbalat HaTorah. The hidden question the Sefat Emet is asking is, what is the need for the story of Yitro to be the introduction to Har Sinai? And he says now a sentence, Nir'eh ki Amalek ratza laharos matan Torah. Says the Sefat Emet, a crazy statement. Amalek really wanted to prevent Matan Torah. So when I was learning this with my chavruta, Jacob Herman, we asked ourselves a simple question: from where does the Sefat Emet say this sentence? How does the Sefat Emet decide that Amalek wanted to prevent Matan Torah? And I think if we look into the essence of Amalek, we might be able to understand what really they were trying to say about Matan Torah. We know that they are the only enemy that fights against the Jewish people before Matan Torah. That's fact number 1. Fact number 2 is that that story happens in a place called Refidim, and Rashi says Refidim was the place Shirafu Yedehem Min HaTorah. We could learn that Rashi in a different time, but essentially, Amalek is coming at the moment that we lost our connection to Torah. And not only that, but if we look in Sefer Dvarim when Amalek appears, at the end of Parshat Ki Tetzei, in Dvarim Parak Kavhei, Pasuk Yurchet, it says, Asher Korcha Baderech. Asher Korcha Baderech means, according to Rashi, 3 different explanations, but we're going to bring in one explanation. And Rashi says, what does it mean, Asher Korcha Baderech? Says Rashi, Asher Korcha Baderech Lishon Mikre. What was Amalek trying to say to the Jewish people? The Jewish people left Mitzrayim and created a relationship with God. In Matan Torah, we will also find again a relationship with God. The difference between those two relationships is that the first relationship after Yam Suf was for the first time and therefore a little bit of maybe a coincidence. It happens, but no one said it's going to keep happening. Matan Torah means that not only do you have a relationship, but you have a lasting relationship. Amalek comes after the moment that the Jewish people create a relationship and says, guess what? It's a coincidence. This isn't going to last. This isn't going to stick. This isn't going to stay. You fell in love. God said, I love you. You said, I love you. It's a great thing, but it's mikre. It's a coincidence. And no one can promise you that it will last. Matan Torah means that that relationship is not just a momentary relationship. It's a lasting relationship. And so if we look in the story of Amalek that precedes Matan Torah, what they really want to say is, you had a great moment, but it's just a moment. It's not going to last and it's not going to stick. The story immediately after Amalek is the story of Yitro. And in the conversation between Yitro and Moshe, Yitro says something incredible to the leader of the Jewish people. And he says to him in Shmot, Perek Yurchet, Pasuk Yurchet, Navol Tibol, Gam ata gam ha'am hazeh asher imcha, ki kaved mimcha hadavar, lo tuchal asohu levadecha. Yitro sees Moshe sitting in a tent, judging the Jewish people on his own. One guy on 3-4 million people. Says Yitro to his son-in-law, listen, you're gonna break. I know you're not sleeping, maybe you're sleeping 15 minutes a night. This is not gonna last. Navol tibol gam ata gam ha'am. Says Yitro to Moshe, listen, if you want to last something that will be continuing for the rest of the Jewish history, what you're doing is a failure. For the moment, for the experience of Moshe, it's great. But this isn't going to be something that will be not only for this generation, but for all generations. And so if we look at the two stories of two outside people that meet the Jewish people before Matan Torah, they're revealing to us the actual secret of what Matan Torah was all about. Matan Torah was not about God speaking to us because we already saw him in Egypt. Matan Torah wasn't special that we knew that God loves us. We know that already. What Matan Torah said that was never said before is that this relationship is something that will not only be for this generation, but it's going to last for all generations. And therefore, these two stories are total opposite stories. The Amalek story says to the Jewish people, your relationship is great, but it's a mikre. It's going to last for a minute. Yitro says to Moshe Rabbeinu, I don't want this to be a momentary experience. I don't want the Jewish people to have a leader that's going to be good for this generation. I want to have leadership that's aware of the fact that this must last for all generations. And therefore, I'm going to change the way that you're acting with the people. In a couple of weeks, I got the great opportunity to run in the Jerusalem Marathon with Shalva. And when I was thinking about running the marathon, one of my great rabbis said to me, in every educational experience, ask yourself if it's a marathon or a sprint. When you run a sprint, you run really, really fast. And it's really, really powerful. but it lasts for 30 seconds. When you know you're running a marathon, you might run slower. You might run not as intensely as you would run in a sprint, but you could run for 10K, for 21K, and for 42K. My bracha to all of us as we enter into this Parsha of Matan Torah, that we realize that great moments are demanding of ourselves to ask not what greatness we have in a moment, but how can we make a moment last? And I think Amalek says, if you're cynical, you'll say a moment is just a moment. But if you're Yitro, you're aware that if it happened now, it could happen later. And it's your decision to utilize the moment, to make it become a marathon that's much longer, and not just experience it as a sprint, as something that's momentary. We should have that bracha to make the moments into something that's everlasting. Shabbat Shalom.